Guy Ritchie is quite an interesting director and he's had a pretty weird career. Snatch was my first Ritchie film, a stupendous, clever, witty and funny British crime classic. His first film, of course, was Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, which some consider to be an even better film. But I've only ever seen it once, and that was after I hadn't been to sleep all night, so I don't really remember much about it except Jason Statham beating someone up with a dildo. So this promising young filmmaker knocks out 2 out of 2, but the story goes that he married Madonna, and it all went downhill from there, directing her in The Bomb Swept Away, and he's never reached the heights of his first 2 films since. Revolver was weird, Rock'n'Roller was a bit better, and though these 2 were crime films, none of these felt vintage Ritchie. Then he made 2 big-budget Sherlock Holmes movies, and what's followed is a pretty haphazard series of films including a King Arthur biopic, the Aladdin remake with Will Smith, and some action films with Statham that I don't think anyone has even seen. Operation Fortune, Ruse de Guerre, anyone? Don't get me wrong, some of these films might be good, but he seems a bit all over the place, and you do wonder at times, why did Guy Ritchie direct this? Why did he direct that? 2019's The Gentleman, though, which I've reviewed on the channel, did stand out from among the crowd, though. It wasn't quite return to form for Ritchie, but it's probably as close as we're going to get. I thought it was great. I had so much fun with this film. It contains all the hallmarks of a good Guy Ritchie movie. Wacky performances, blackmail, scheming and chaos. I didn't really have high hopes for this spin-off series that was proposed though. It just felt like something that would get dumped on Netflix and disappear with Ritchie making a buck by attaching his name to it. But in all honesty, I finished it a while back and it wasn't too bad. I did enjoy it. It's flawed, it doesn't work in some places, but it's a fun watch. It's an easy watch, is how I describe it. Easy on the eyes, easy on the plot. Again, it has all the hallmarks of a good Guy Ritchie project, Vinnie Jones and all, and everything from the script to the performances are at a good standard. Not an apex standard, but a good standard nonetheless. So in this spin-off, an aristocrat, Eddie, who was in the army, inherits the family estate after the death of his father who left it all to him, much to the dismay of Eddie's older brother Freddie. But before he's had time to make himself comfortable and make something of this crumbling estate, Eddie gets a visit from a Susie Glass, and it soon becomes apparent just how Eddie's dad had so much money. Underneath the grounds lies a huge weed-making facility run by the Glass family, who would pay off Eddie's father for the premises. They aren't looking to move anytime soon, and though Eddie enters into a partnership, long-term he wants out of this deal. But the Glass family might make this an impossibility for our protagonist. So this is the basic setup. Eddie soon realizes that the drug empire is vast, his estate is just one of the many being used, and he runs into numerous issues as time goes on, whether it be travelers stealing from his property, his brother getting mixed up with bad people, or the drugs going missing mid-delivery. There is an overarching plot, which is basically Eddie trying to get out of the business whilst inadvertently getting more and more sucked into it. But it is worth mentioning that the series, 8 episodes by the way, has a very episodic feel. Every episode feels like, oh, this is this week's problems. Something goes wrong in the first 10 minutes and Eddie spends the next 45 minutes trying to solve the problem, which usually involves having to get some money to meet someone or meet someone somewhere, and that meeting goes wrong because the guy they're meeting is a loony and someone ends up dead, which causes a chain reaction of problems, etc, etc. And often, the new characters who pop up are played by well-known celebrities or actors, to the extent that when our protagonist goes on a little adventure for a rendezvous with someone, I think to myself, oh, I wonder who they've cast for this episode. It does feel like a PlayStation game at times, like Eddie is a GTA protagonist, and there were moments where I thought to myself, why is Eddie handling this problem? Can't the Glass family with their huge network handle this on their own without the glorified landlord getting involved? Even still, there's enough wackiness and energy to keep you invested. Theo James is okay as the lead, though I would have preferred someone with a little more gravitas. The guys who played Freddie and Susie were good. Vinnie Jones had a surprisingly reserved and subdued role, with some decent character moments, and some other actors involved included Giancarlo Esposito and Guz Khan. Ray Winstone is in it, which was a nice surprise. He seems tailor-made for Guy Ritchie, but it's amazing that this is actually the first collaboration. Apparently the two had a falling out a while back, but have since made up. He plays Bobby Glass, the big gangster behind the drug empire, so gets some decent scenes as an intimidating mob boss. But really with him and others like Esposito, it feels like special guest appearances where you're happy to see these names and actors, but realistically no one is going to be winning any awards anytime soon. Guy Ritchie directed the first 2 episodes, and these 2 I felt were the strongest. There's some excellent standout moments, like a Scouse gangster forcing a guy to act like a chicken repeatedly, costume and all. And it goes on for so long and becomes just so absurd and ridiculous, and it has a nice connective tissue to the second episode. The series is enveloped in this kind of operatic music which gives it gravitas but simultaneously lets you know just how ridiculous everything you're watching is. It's from the 3rd episode that things start feeling episodic, but the series is still enjoyable, but each episode gets progressively worse until you get to the last 2 episodes, both directed by the same guy. But I just found myself underwhelmed with the climax, starting to lose interest and starting to zone out really. It was just trying to be a bit too clever with all the double crossing and backstabbing. Our heroes are a bit too intelligent, always 3 steps ahead, and you lose track of who is betraying who and why. And also weirdly, I thought the last couple of episodes had basic technical errors. Like there was one part where a woman and a man are cornered in a woods, and immediately in the next shot, she is on her knees at gunpoint and he is being held by goons blurred in the background. You wouldn't even know if it was him if a character didn't mention it. There was no establishing shot, no cut in between the woman standing and then the next shot when she's kneeling. And it wasn't as if, some time had passed. It was just weird. There was another part where a gangster comes with a goon to a hospital to kill someone who's in a hospital bed. The 2 get ambushed by someone who shoots at them, killing the henchman and then walking out of the room. And then the gangster just starts walking down the corridor on his way out of the hospital. Like, what the hell? Your assailant is clearly still in the hospital somewhere. He could pounce at any moment, which he did eventually. Not to mention the gangster didn't even finish the job. Not to mention, why is such a big-time criminal even turning up to perform the kind of hit that should be done by a henchman? So there's just a few weak moments here and there that let the side down. Overall, it's a good series. On paper, Ray Winstone, guns, girls, style, crime capers, madcap escapes from various criminals. It has all the ingredients and ideas of the Ritchie formula transported to a series, and that sounds incredible. It doesn't quite live up to it, but it does get close enough to make the series watchable for Guy Ritchie fans. I do wish the man had directed the entire show instead of the first 2 episodes. That would have undoubtedly turned out to be a superior project. So have you seen this show? Let me know what you think of it down in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel and thanks for watching. Before we finish, I'd just like to thank my patrons, Stefan, Alexis Vasquez, Chris Starr, Countess von Zarovich, Daniel P, Nicholas Curtis, and OpenClassActions.com. And also my channel members, Michael Awatwi, Rikers, Joe Grossberg, the new on Goam 24, Lone Wanderer, Stefan, Q Lade, Pink Pools, Snuff This Rooster, Tristan Foss, Ross Miller, Cam Valentine, Cuco del Diablo, It's M, Lucas LF, and Maya Maz.